In the 18th century, a man called Jean is in a cell waiting for his sentence. A bunch of guards come to drag him out and present him to a furious crowd, who yell and ask for justice as a lord reads the sentence. In 2 days, Jean will be bound to a cross and beaten up with an iron rod to then be hung to death. This started a few years ago in Paris. In a horribly smelling market, a woman attending to her stall starts having contractions and has the baby right there, letting him drop to the ground. Since all her previous babies were stillbirths, she assumes this one is dead too, so she cuts the cord and pushes him into the leftover fish guts before going back to work. This baby is Jean and soon takes his first breath, which gets him to smell all the horrid scents from the market. When Jean cries for the first time, all the people in the market hear him and accuse the mother of trying to kill him. The mother tries to run away, but the crowd catches her and she's executed. Afterward, Jean is sentenced this case and the man is executed. Meanwhile, Jean mixes the 12 essences and is very pleased with the result, but he knows he's missing the final 13th note. He wants that final touch to be Laura, who is currently celebrating with the rest of the locals until Richie shows up to take her home. That night, Jean sneaks inside the mansion and approaches Laura while she sleeps. Suddenly Richie's wakes up and rushes to Laura's bedroom, but she's fine and alone. However, Richie's notices the window is open. The next morning, Richie's packs their things and goes away with Laura to keep her safe. Hoping to trick the killer, he sends out an empty carriage in the opposite direction while he and Laura travel by horse. However, Jean's nose immediately detects that Laura's scent is getting weaker, so he also packs his things and begins following her smell to find it. Back in town, the street worker's dog is also smelling things out and finds its owner's clothes buried in the dirt. This is noticed by Drouot, who keeps on digging and soon finds all the dead women's clothes and hair. Sometime later, Richie's and Laura arrive at a remote inn and rent all the rooms. Richie's chooses a room with no windows for Laura and locks her up for the night. Still tracking her scent, Jean finds the inn, sneaks through the servant's room, and steals the key from Richie's night table to finally reach Laura. When he's about to kill her, Laura opens her eyes and looks at him, making him hesitate. The next morning, Richie's checks on his daughter and is horrified to discover she's dead. Meanwhile, Jean finishes extracting Laura's essence and adds it to the other 12 to finally create the ultimate perfume. Before he can sniff it properly, he's surrounded by soldiers and gets arrested, but he gets to hide the perfume in his pocket. Afterward, Richie's waterboards Jean to make him confess why he killed Laura, but Jean only answers, "I needed her." Back to the beginning, the day of Jean's execution comes and the whole town gathers to watch. When a council lord and a bunch of guards show up to take Jean, he opens the perfume bottle with a plan in mind. Moments later, a carriage arrives at the town square and Jean comes out wearing the lord's clothes plus a few drops of his perfect perfume. As soon as the people near him smell him, they fall to their knees, amazed by his mere presence. Jean walks to the scaffold and his scent is so intoxicating that the executioner immediately declares him innocent. Next, Jean puts some perfume on a handkerchief and starts waving it around to let the scent spread. The whole crow falls into a state of absolute euphoria and even the bishop gets on his knees, announcing that Jean is actually an angel. The crowd begins yelling and crying for Jean, who finally feels noticed and powerful. The only one who hasn't fallen for it is Richie's, who is on a balcony that the perfume hasn't reached. Then Jean lets his handkerchief fly with the wind and when it falls in the crowd, it causes everyone to heat up and start doing the dirty in a huge naughty group. As he watches in shock, Jean imagines himself with the plum woman and realizes he hasn't known real love and never will, which makes him cry. Suddenly Richie's gets on the scaffold, ready to finish the execution, but he's overtaken by the power of the perfume too and falls to his knees, calling Jean his son. A few hours later, the townspeople wake up and are overwhelmed with shame. Jean is nowhere to be seen and Drouot is arrested instead, since the clothes and hair were found in his shop. After 14 hours of torture, Drouot confesses and is executed. Meanwhile, Jean returns to his smelly hometown. Since it's an existence without love is pointless, Jean stops in the middle of the street and empties the whole perfume bottle on his head. The scent is so powerful that it causes the locals to rush to him, piling up on top of his body to devour him. The next morning, the only thing left of Jean's are his clothes and a drop of perfume. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.